Fabulous faults and bodacious boundaries, brought to you by ECF's Earth Environmental Enthusiast. I'm here in the deep woods of ECF. I am in search of the geology hippie.
Where's the geology hippie?
Hey folks, it's me, the geology hippie. Today, we're going to be talking about faults.
What's a fault?
A fault is a place in our rocky crust where the rock is broken.
Yes, a fault, a break in the Earth's crust, a fracture between two blocks of rock.
At a normal fault, tension pulls the rock apart like this. These blocks represent parts of our rocky crust. When tension pulls the rocks apart, the broken piece of the crust moves downward, causing a normal fault. Notice the obtuse angle between the fallen parts of the rock and the parts that pulled away. What type of boundary do you think this is related to?
Normal faults occur at divergent boundaries.
At a reverse fault, compression pushes the rocks together. Notice that the broken piece moves upward, and the acute angle that exists between the parts that are pushing forward and the broken part that moves up. This is a reverse fault. What kind of boundary is associated with it?
Reverse faults are associated with convergent boundaries.
At a strike-slip fault, a force called shear pushes the rocks in opposite directions as they slide past each other. Notice the shift in the rock relative to each other. What kind of boundary is this?
Strike-slip faults are found at transform boundaries. In talking about faults, we've got to talk about plate boundaries. We know that plate boundaries are where lithospheric plates or tectonic plates meet. So all plate boundaries are faults. However, not all faults are plate boundaries. Because remember, faults are these broken parts in the Earth's crust. So there are faults that are not at plate boundaries. But when we have plate boundaries and those faults and they move, we know things can happen. What do you think can happen?
Whenever rock breaks or plates move, we feel that on the surface as an earthquake.
So normal faults are found at divergent boundaries. Reverse faults are found at convergent boundaries. And strike-slip faults are found at transform boundaries. This is Miss Wright, the geology hippie. And remember, it's all connected, man.
Remember, normal faults, divergent boundaries. Reverse faults, convergent boundaries. And strike-slip faults, transform boundaries. And all plate boundaries are faults, but not all faults are plate boundaries.
It's all connected, man.